Somewhere right now, there's a JEPI shareholder who's been checking their brokerage inbox every month for 6 years, waiting for a return of capital notice that was never coming. Not because JPMorgan forgot to send it, because the fund was never built to produce one. While a much smaller sister fund from the exact same manager just told the SEC that 90% of its July payout wasn't ordinary income at all. Same house, same trick, two completely different rule books. By the end of this video, you'll know which one actually favors you, and it might not be the one with the $44 billion. JEPI is the JPMorgan Equity Premium Income ETF. 6 years old, $44.33 billion in assets, an 8% yield built from equity-linked notes, contracts that sell call options and route the income back to the fund as interest. ROCY is the JPMorgan Equity Premium Yield ETF. 4 months old, $257 million in assets, a much smaller 2.29% trailing yield, built from a completely different mechanic. Call spreads written directly against the fund's own equity holdings. Same manager, same category, income overlay ETFs. Different construction under the hood. And that construction is about to matter a lot more than either fund's yield number. Here's the short version of what an equity-linked note actually is, because it matters for what's coming. JEPI doesn't sell options directly against its stock portfolio. Instead, it buys a note from a bank, a contract whose payout is linked to selling call options on the S&P 500. The bank handles the options mechanics. JEPI just receives the resulting cash flow, and under fund accounting rules, that cash flow gets treated as interest income. ROCY skips the middleman entirely. It writes the call spreads itself directly against its own equity holdings. Same economic idea, collect option premium, pay it out as income, completely different accounting path. That one difference is the whole video. There's a concept in lifting called training age. Not how old you are, how long you've actually been training. Two guys can run the exact same program, same sets, same progressive overload principles, and get completely different levels of predictability out of it. Because one of them has 6 years of log numbers, telling him exactly how his body responds to a deload week. And the other one started 4 months ago, and is still finding out what his own recovery curve looks like. That's JEPI and ROCY. Same mechanical principle, same manager, same options overlay logic, completely different training age. JEPI's got 6 years of monthly numbers on the log. ROCY's got 4. Neither program is wrong. One of them just has a lot more data behind it. And training age doesn't tell you which lift is better. It tells you how much you can trust the consistency of the result under different conditions. That's exactly the question we're about to answer for these two funds. Here's a number that should stop you for a second. JEPI's payout ratio is over 200%. Not 8%, not 80, 200. Picture a paycheck where you're handed more than double what actually showed up in the account, every single month, for 6 years straight, and nobody's ever had to explain where the rest came from in writing. That's not a red flag. That's an equity-linked note doing exactly what it was built to do. ROCY's version of that same number is 58%, lower, and also legally required to come with an explanation. Why the gap? It comes down to one accounting distinction. Option premium collected by an equity-linked note gets classified as interest income under fund accounting rules. Option premium collected by writing call spreads directly against the portfolio does not. It falls outside net investment income entirely. And when a distribution exceeds net investment income, the fund has to tell the SEC exactly how much and why. JEPI's structure means that trigger never fires. ROCY's structure means it fires almost every month. On July 1st, JPMorgan filed ROCY's latest distribution notice. 10.15% of that month's payout came from net investment income. 89.85% came from somewhere else entirely. Option premium, the fund isn't allowed to count as ordinary income, filed publicly, in writing, the way the law requires. JEP, has never filed that notice. Not once. Not because it's better managed, not because it's more honest, because its equity-linked note structure means it never crosses the threshold that requires one. Somewhere there's a JEPI shareholder who's been checking their inbox every month for 6 years, waiting for a notice that was never coming. Not because JPMorgan forgot, because the fund was never built to send one. That's not a loophole. That's just what an equity-linked note does for a living. This matters most in a taxable brokerage account. Distributions that exceed net investment income have a real chance of being classified as return of capital when 1099-DIVs go out in February, which means tax-deferred income today and a lower cost basis instead of an immediate tax bill. JEPI's structure doesn't offer that pathway. Its income is built to be treated as ordinary interest from day one. In a retirement account, none of this changes anything. The IRS doesn't care either way. But if you're building an income floor in a taxable account the way I am, ROCY's short track record comes with a structural tax advantage that a much larger, much older fund simply can't produce, no matter how long it runs. That doesn't make ROCY better than JEPI. It makes them two different tools built for two different jobs. And most people comparing them by yield alone are asking the wrong question entirely. I'm not adding ROCY to the income floor yet. 4 months and one distribution history isn't enough to know if that 89.85% number holds up once volatility changes or once a full year of filings is on the record. But it's on the watch list, right behind GRNI, QQQI, GPIQ, TPAY, and GPIX. And this is exactly the kind of primary source data point I'll be tracking every month until it either earns a spot or doesn't. If you made it this far, you now know something about your own JEPI position that most of the people holding it don't. That's worth a like on its own. Subscribe. GRNI is closing in on its drip threshold right now, and when it crosses, I'll have the full milestone breakdown ready, straight from the brokerage data. And drop a comment. If you're holding JEPI in a taxable account right now, does the ROC angle change anything for you? Or is the 10-year track record worth more than the tax treatment?